Now to the continuing anger over Wall Street pay in light of the slow economic recovery. It's an issue that has often been front and center since the government bailed out big banks and other firms in 2008 and 2009. It has also helped fuel some of the Occupy protests in New York and around the country. Today, more than 500 members of the Occupy movement took their messages to Capitol Hill, where they raised questions again about the role of corporations and inequality. Here's some of what they told us. These protesters only provided their first names.
We have to come up with different ways of creating a system and a mechanism that will allow people to put forward their best work and to have it represented fairly. And as soon as people in the Congress start hearing that message from the people, until their voices get louder and louder and they cannot ignore it, then they will get it.
I had been active in causes in years past, and I had given up on any substantial change in this country until the occupation. Nothing like this has happened before. They said the first cold night would be gone. They said we wouldn't last more than a week. 3.5, almost 4 months later, here we are. We're not going anywhere. I have never met a group of more committed, dedicated people fighting for real change.
This all comes as Wall Street firms are in the midst of bonus season. Bonuses are reportedly lower this year, perhaps as much as 30% lower in some cases. Today, the Wall Street Journal and the Financial Times both reported that Morgan Stanley would limit its cash bonuses to $125,000 and defer some compensation to 2012. Well, we look at this with William Cohen, author of The House of Cards, a book about the collapse of Bear Stearns. He once worked as a managing director at J.P. Morgan Chase. And Brian Foley, a compensation consultant who works with Fortune 500 firms, including financial service firms and executives at those firms. For the record, we called the industry's trade group, but they declined our invitation. Gentlemen, welcome to you both. William Cohen, to you first. These early reports that bonuses are dropping, how widespread is this, and why do you think it's happening?
Well, I think it's very widespread, Judy. When you have an industry leader like Morgan Stanley capping out their, which seems to most people like a lot of money, but to Wall Street types, unfortunately not, capping out their cash pay at $125,000, that becomes an industry standard and the kind of benchmark that other people hit, because as we well know, the industry uses consultants to measure what everyone else is doing and doesn't want to be seen as paying too much more or too much littler than everybody else. But this is happening because revenues are down on Wall Street, profits are down on Wall Street. We're entering into a new paradigm.
Hello, everyone. Don Lemon here. Thank you so much for joining us. Breaking news. Let's get right to the pictures, shall we? It is coming out of Oakland, California. You're looking at pictures from our affiliate, KTVU. This is Occupy Oakland. It's been going on for a while. Let me tell you what's going on here. Police apparently are making some arrests here within the past few minutes. We're hearing that on Twitter. An hour ago, police claim that they haven't used tear gas, but according to officials there it is. Some of the Occupy protesters are looking for a new building to occupy, a vacant building in downtown Oakland. Apparently they got out of control and police had to go in. And according to the protesters, police fired tear gas, even rubber bullets at these protesters. They tried to break it up. Originally the protesters said, hey, listen, we are going to be peaceful about this, but we're going to try to claim this new space. And as you know, if you've been paying attention to this entire Occupy movement here, Oakland has really been a flashpoint. Back in October, a U.S. Marine suffered a fractured skull after police hit him with a projectile. And now we have this. This has been going on since 1 o'clock local time. This is video from our affiliate KGO, and apparently you can see the smoke there from some of, we are assuming that this is tear gas. And you can see now live pictures and some of the local news affiliates on the ground there preparing for their reports. But this is Oakland, California, and this has been going on since 1 o'clock. And I give you a timeline here. This started at 1 o'clock, we are told, when they gathered and began their march to this new building. And then at 2 o'clock, apparently that's when things started to get out of control. Around 3 o'clock, I am told, dozens of police in riot gear showed up, 1:30 p.m. The march started just after 1:30 p.m., and then dozens of police wearing riot gear turned up. The protesters were walking through Laney College there in Oakland at about 2:30. Some of them were wearing bandanas over their mouths, and others were holding signs saying, "We are the 99%. And then minutes before 3, they attempted to break through the fences that you saw there, which were surrounding the former Henry Kaiser Convention Center near the Oakland Museum. And then in response to that, police declared this particular march an unlawful assembly and then fired smoke grenades at the crowd. And then these marchers turned around and rallied once again at another street, other streets there in Oakland, California, and then they were boxed in by the police officers who were in riot gear. And then at about 3:30 local time there, police once again declared an unlawful assembly and began firing smoke grenades. Some protesters reported having officers fire rubber bullets at them. So then they began to retreat, and the whole thing started over. And now we have this. As you can see, the officers in riot gear in full force. No official estimates of how many Occupy protesters are involved in this, how many Occupy protesters are in this crowd, but you can see there are a number of them. Let's get you some live pictures now. You can see the signs, Occupy Oakland. This is really the biggest demonstration that we have seen since this whole Occupy movement began a while ago, and then it sort of simmered down a little bit over the holidays and into the new year. And now, at the beginning of the year now, on this day, we have this going on in Oakland. Can we hear any of this? Is there any way to hear this? Silent. This is taken from the helicopter, but you can see people there running after they fired what appeared to be tear gas into the crowd. We are working to get a reporter who is on the scene, other officials who are on the scene, the police department as well, as we look at these live pictures. And as soon as we get more information on this, we will bring it to you. We are not going to go far from this story. So stand by and stay tuned right here to CNN, because we have another developing story now, and this one is a medical. In Oakland, California tonight, we haven't seen this kind of ruckus at an Occupy protest in weeks. Tear gas, smoke, and protesters on the ground. We're going to look at some live pictures. There they are. They're a little bit dark, but they're from our affiliate KGO. There are police who have been corralling hundreds of occupiers at a YMCA building. This standoff has been going on for hours.
Who streets? Who streets? Who streets?
And the protesters were calling this move-in day. They planned to take over a vacant building, but police declared an unlawful assembly and moved to contain them, arresting at least 19 people. And police claim the protesters hit them with bottles, metal pipes, rocks, spray cans, even improvised explosive devices and burning flares. Officers threw tear gas and smoke grenades to try and disperse that crowd. 3 officers are reportedly hurt so far. Now, I want to bring in Tim Ryan. He's a reporter from KCBS Radio. He's at the scene now. Tim, describe what is happening on the streets right now.
Well, Don, the arrest total now is at 40 plus and likely to go higher. These protesters have been moving around the streets of Oakland after days ago promising to take over a vacant building. Well, the building that they attempted to take over hours ago was the vacant convention center, a massive building, probably the largest vacant building in all of Oakland. They met a line of Oakland riot cops. They were not able to get inside. They regrouped, and then an hour or two ago, they set out again. Oakland police attempting to corral them. There were some bricks thrown at the officers. There were a couple of loud blasts that, I mean, just scared the bejesus out of all of us. But what they ended up doing is rushing into a YMCA, not a vacant building at all. There were many people inside working out, and they say that this crowd just bum-rushed them. They were not violent, but they were very provocative. The police moved in, and they've arrested about 20 or so inside the YMCA, and those arrests are continuing, Todd.
Hey, we're talking about improvised explosive devices and all of those things the protesters have said that police have hit them with. Have you observed any of that?
Well, yeah, I've seen the tear gas on the side of the police, and I've seen smoke bombs tossed at police. I've seen rocks tossed at police. So, yeah, the violence is coming on from both sides. One guy was really pummeled by an Oakland police officer with a baton. I didn't see what it was that allegedly provoked that attack, but yeah, there are going to be a lot of people waking up tomorrow with sore eyes, a lot of tear gas, and you know, there's been some blows trade down here on the streets of Oakland as well, Don.
How is this response, if it has? How's it been different than the one in October? Remember, it was very violent back in October. Is this one different?
Well, you know, the main difference right now, and you know, the arrest totals maybe similar, a few dozen, but what I haven't seen yet, although here on the West Coast it is still early, I haven't seen the vandalism that was just so profound months ago. I mean, just dozens upon dozens upon dozens of buildings with their windows broken. I don't think that's the case here tonight, Don. I mean, I've seen some graffiti, but if Oakland can survive this with just you know, a few dozen arrests and some graffiti, I think they're going to, the city, that is, going to call this quite a successful night for the city of Oakland. But again, a lot of times it's a little later at night when this crowd, frustrated, gets out of hand and starts breaking things.
All right, Tim Ryan with KCBS. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you joining us this evening. And coming up here on CNN, a medical mystery.